about to get real, keep it live, that's right. From Pennsylvania to across the globe, it's time for the Steelers All-Star Show.
Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined once again by my co-hosts Jill from Ohio and Nick Pretzel. How are you folks doing on this chilly Saturday morning?
It is very cold. I'm freezing, but I'm excited to talk playoff football, people. Playoff football. Nick, how you doing?
I'm doing really well. Yes, it's cold. It's a cold day here in northwestern Pennsylvania. I am hoping my birthday is next week, and Steelers, all I want for my birthday is a playoff win. So bring it here. You know, we'll take it. So, James, how are you doing this morning?
Well, just so I don't miss it next week, and I have a preemptive one. Happy birthday prematurely here, Nick.
Thank you.
I'm doing well. I'm excited about this morning. I had to bed at like 8:30 last night, so I've had more sleep than I normally have, which is great.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. I was falling asleep on the couch. Why not just go to bed? So here we are. Plenty of energy for this playoff push. Pittsburgh needs it. We need it. Jill's got it ready in a can. Nick's got it ready, I think, too. I've got one ready. We'll pop them whenever we feel like it. Nick's starting the show already.
I'm starting the show because I want some voltage out of this Steelers defense. Not sponsored by Mountain Dew, but our DMs are open. So
Right. Our DMs are open.
Not yet, but you never know, right? Somebody who's not going to be participating in this weekend's show or this weekend's game is Trey Flowers. He was moved down from the 53-man roster. He officially cleared waivers. He's on the practice squad now, so he'll get a chance to stick around and possibly participate in future games or try out for the team next year if he signs a futures contract, which I would expect him to do. Maybe the big news this week, Arthur Smith, set to get an interview with the Tennessee Titans. He's not allowed to interview until 3 days after the Steelers' final postseason game, whenever that comes. But there's some serious history there. That's where he had his best success as an offensive coordinator. Really took advantage of things. Took Ryan Tannehill and turned him from a kind of not so good quarterback to somebody that was getting in the Pro Bowl on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
He's had some success with Pittsburgh as well. You know, Justin Fields' best year was with Arthur Smith, and we got some real good play for a short period of time there out of Russell Wilson with Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
Before the rest of the NFL caught up on what the NFC already knew about him. But you at least got a couple of good weeks out of him. So that'll be interesting to follow. But just to be perfectly transparent, this is not something that starts until after the Steelers season. So it's not a distraction for any of them right now.
Mm-hmm.
He made this very clear in his press conference the other day, indicating his complete focus is on Pittsburgh, and he'll worry about any of that stuff after the season's over. What do you guys feel about Arthur Smith possibly becoming a head coach again?
You know, I think it suits him well to put all of his focus on Pittsburgh right now because it's only going to improve his chances of getting hired elsewhere. And I mean, the Titans are ahead of the curve. There's a number of teams that have head coaching needs right now, and I'm sure there might even end up being a few more after the season, depending on how teams are feeling about coaches that may have been there longer and how they end up in the playoffs. The Bills have been rocking with Sean McDermott for quite some time, and if he doesn't deliver a playoff win, who knows what his future is like. So there could be other teams that are in the market for a head coach, and if Arthur Smith is able to bring Pittsburgh after several years floundering with quarterback play into a run, or even if, as we hope, to a Super Bowl win, that would drastically rise his stock. So that's where my focus on it is, because I'm a Steelers fan and he's with our team right now and I want him to take us there. So I hope that he does. But it would be interesting to see him get another shot at head coach. I feel like Atlanta was similar to what he had with Tennessee in that he had some sort of underwhelming quarterback play with a stud running back in Bijan Robinson. Did he have Robinson? Was Robinson there during his tenure?
Yeah, he did that last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he had Bijan Robinson. He had Kyle Pitts. Unable to get things going with Kyle Pitts as much as he loves tight ends. That was kind of the weird dynamic to me. Bijan was a little bit underused, but then Pittsburgh had that same thought process this year, right? We thought for the first probably 2/3 of the season, Jalen Warren wasn't getting the ball enough. And then as the season went along, we saw why he wanted to get the ball to Kenny Gainwell so well, and Kenny answered the call. So it just kind of depends on how things play out there. Also, the more success Pittsburgh has in the playoffs, kind of the worse that is for Arthur Smith's chances at this. Because some teams like to get this done as quickly as possible so that they can get that coaching staff together and then start the offseason process of taking a look at prospects, draft prospects, and what guys are going to be hitting free agency and who they should go after in free agency, and what bowl games do you need to possibly be scouting, and all-star games and all this stuff too. So they get antsy, and we'll see. I wouldn't mind Arthur Smith coming back for one final season with Pittsburgh after this. And I say that because he has had some success with quarterbacks. And it seems like, I'm not going to say that he's like a quarterback guru. I'm not going that far. But he's at least on the same page most of the time, it seems like, with Aaron Rodgers. They seem to have a good rapport. Obviously, Aaron gets upset sometimes when there's a substitution after a questionable play call and he wants to get that snap off real quick. But outside of that, they seem to work real well together. And obviously, Pittsburgh doesn't feel like they have their quarterback of the future on the roster right now. There is obviously the remote hope, the possibility of Will Howard, who knows, but they might draft a guy this year too. And having somebody that's good with quarterbacks as your offensive coordinator is not a bad move.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say that was kind of my thought of like, as much as maybe he could be give him another shot at a head coach with another team, I really actually hope he stays with Pittsburgh, just because if there's a lot of unknowns, and probably more that we'll talk about once, or if our season ends in, February, that's what I'm hoping for. But we're just going to keep putting it out there that we're going to have to talk actual football, live football, and not postseason until February. So we'll probably talk more about Arthur Smith when that time comes, but he has done well. And I think, is this no, it's not. I didn't know how long his contract was.
They don't ever say, but he's on the second year of what is typically a 3-year deal.
Yeah. So I was like, it feels like he, one more year. If we have Rodgers come back because he had success here in Pittsburgh and he wants to play another year, I just feel like it would make at least the most sense for our organization to keep Smith, but that's also his decision at the end of the day. So maybe we make a good postseason run, and then there will be no options for him. So
wouldn't be a bad thing for any of us. Would absolutely love that. Another guy that would love to see the Pittsburgh Steelers continue their winning ways so that he can play football again this year is Isaiah Loudermilk. His 21-day window has been opened. He is available to return from the injured reserve. I don't see them moving him up just to move him up. Although I guess the more I think this through, Jeremiah Moon would be an easy decision to boot him right back off the roster. You don't need that extra outside linebacker right now. So I could see that. But I feel like this is more of an injury preventive type measure. So if someone does go down on that defensive line, it is significant enough that you're not going to be able to get them back in, say, 4 or 5 weeks on whatever the injury may be. Now you've got Loudermilk ready to step in. So I don't think that they would bring him up and bench Y.A. Black or Keanu Benton or Harmon. I don't think he's going back above any of those guys, but I could see him right behind them. Mm-hmm. I could see him being like that number 5 guy in the rotation above Asezio Tomeo and Logan Lee. So we'll see how it plays out. Pittsburgh's got to win this week for this to even make a difference. Yes. But the other one, the big real the possibility that just became kind of a thing the last couple of days.
Dare I?
Do it, Jill. Yeah. Do it, Jill. He's cracking it.
The possibility is apparently here for Deshaun Elliott to rejoin the Pittsburgh Steelers this season. He hinted at it on his Instagram story, indicating that he could possibly be coming back. And two different Pittsburgh Steelers reporters have said that they have heard the same thing, which is that if Pittsburgh does win this weekend, he would have his window open next week and resume practice with the ability to come off of the injured reserve himself. That would be incredible, right? Like, his level of safety play versus what we're getting sometimes out of Kyle Duggar would be a huge improvement. So how excited does that make you guys? I don't know. I'm pretty giddy about that.
Jill's cracking hers. You know, we're bringing that energy. We want Deshaun Elliott to bring his energy back into the room. So go out and win this week, Pittsburgh. And Deshaun, if you're able, we'd love to have you back. We've been talking about it all season. We've been missing your presence. We'd love to have you on the show. Come on the show if you're listening, because we know you're listening. So I'll make the pitch every week.
Listen, one of these days it'll work. So, but no, I think it's really exciting at the potential. We need to win because, you know, when he came back in the regular season, there is an immediate difference in our defense. Like, we feel it when he's not on the field. And now our safety play has just been so hit and miss. Like, we have days where it's really great and then days where it's not. And this is a game where it can't be the latter. It has to be literally on your A game. Yeah. So I'm a little worried just because I feel like Kyle Duggar has played slowly on a decline. Like, I feel like he started out well and then it's just gotten worse as the season has gone on. And then Ramsey, you know, he had a pretty rough game last week. So I think we talked before, like, that will fuel him to have a better game this week. But he's only one person, and we need the whole team as a collective to show up and put a complete football game together in order to win this game. So it'll be great to have Elliott back when we win this game.
There you go.
When we win this game.
Speaking into existence.
Have Elliott back next week. So
I love it. So speaking of this upcoming game that puts us to the injury report for both the Steelers and the Houston Texans, Jill, you got that injury report pulled up?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I got you. For the Steelers, just give a round of applause. Although,
here we go. This is for the Steelers injury report.
There we go.
There it is.
There is, which you never want a guy hurt, but to not see him on the field would be great for me. Johnny Smith popped up on the injury report. He's got a glute injury, so he was limited on Friday. I have no idea what the severity of that would be. Because that did just pop up yesterday. So, but other than that, everybody was full, except for Cam, which is just rest related, and he deserves it at 36 and playing the best football we've seen him play yet. He deserves all the rest that he needs.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, incredible to see the team this healthy this late in the season, and when the only thing you got going on is a tight end who has not been putting his best play on the field as of late with an injury to the buttocks, then that's not the worst thing in the world, I would say. So that does kind of bring into light that room's a little bit light, right? If for some reason he can't go, or if they're concerned about will he be able to make it through an entire game, you might see an elevation in that tight end room. So we'll see. There was a guy they just brought onto the practice squad last week. I don't know if he would be the elevation or if there's another guy on the practice squad, but I would keep my eye open for that this week. That's for sure.
Now, when will they elevate? Will that still be Sunday? Okay.
Yeah, that'll be a Sunday elevation because of the Monday game. So we'll at least be able to update them on TikTok. If you guys don't follow our TikTok account, we always do an injury update about an hour and a half before kickoff when they release the inactives list. So we'll let you know what's going on then. The Houston Texans injury report. That side of things, A little bit longer of an injury list than our injury list, which is, hey, that's their problem, not our problem, right? One of the starting corners for them, Kamari Lassiter, has an ankle and knee issue. Didn't practice Thursday, but was limited Friday. I understand he's anticipating playing, so he's just not going to be 100%. So a little bit dinged up on his side of things. They got a bunch of guys that are full participants but fighting through injuries. Safety Jalen Reed with a forearm. Derek Tingley with an oblique. We've got Johnny Carter with a hamstring. Long snapper Austin Brinkman with a knee. Hey, our long snapper's got a knee too. Linebacker Jamal Hill with a calf. Ariantari Ursary with a thumb. Sheldon Rankins with a elbow. These are all full participants. They're all going to play. But just guys that are a little bit dinged up going into the game. Some limiteds beyond Kamari Lassiter. We do have the tackle / guard Titus Howard with an ankle injury, and then tackle Trent Brown with an ankle / knee injury. So I'm seeing 3 offensive tackles on this injury list here for them. So that does bode well for the Steelers' pass rush and ability to get after the quarterback. That's been kind of a weak spot for C.J. Stroud this season. When he's under pressure, that's when he makes his most mistakes. I remember hearing a statistic earlier this week, and I don't recall if it was from Steelers Depot or Locked On Steelers or which one of the Steelers podcasts I listened to, but it was one of the ones that did a deep dive, so I know it was one of those two. And apparently in pressure situations, I believe when he's blitzed, C.J. Stroud has 5 touchdown passes, but also 5 interceptions, and he only has 9 interceptions on the season. So blitzing him may be a very important thing in this game. So
blitz has been on the increase.
Yeah, with a healthier team, you might get some good results in the blitz this week. So it's a pick your poison, though, with the blitz, because we do have a very talented wide receiver core for Houston and a quarterback that can sling it. But we're going to talk about that, right, Nick? We're going to talk about that here.
Speaking of, let's run right on into it. Quarterback, obviously, C.J. Stroud, backed up by Davis Mills, who has had some success when Stroud was down for the count this season. So pretty solid quarterback play. They also have rookie Graham Mertz as the emergency third quarterback on their roster. Running back, rookie Woody Marks has had some success this season. He's backed up by a guy we're very familiar with in Nick Chubb, who has seen less and less play as Marks has sort of kind of been trending in that upwards direction. I was listening to the PFF pregame review for the show with Trevor Sikkema, and I forget the other gentleman's name. But they were discussing how Marks sees most of his success on inside runs, and Pittsburgh is very good at defending inside runs. So we'll see if the Texans try to make some sort of adjustment, but if they do, it's going to be something they haven't really done for most of the year with Marks. So we'll see what his efficiency is, if he can actually perform trying to do something he hasn't really had to do. They're also backed up by Jawar Jordan and Dare Ogabawale. I'm probably butchering that, but he's probably not going to see the fields. He's probably not going to see the field, so we'll just leave it at that. They do have a fullback rostered in British Brooks, which is a really fun name. But probably won't see too much work out of him. I don't believe they use him too much other than for blocking. Wide receivers, as James alluded to, this is where they have some really solid depth. They've got Nico Collins as their wide receiver 1, Christian Kirk as the wide receiver 2, and Jaden Higgins as the wide receiver 3. They are backed up by Xavier Hutchinson, Jalen Knoll, and Justin Watson. This is a very, very solid wide receiver group here. Both Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll are rookies that have shown up very much so for this team. Kirk was dealing with some injuries, and there were some games where Xavier Hutchinson, who's the 4th receiver listed on the depth chart, was the leading receiver on the team, and they were able to pull out a win in those games. So they also have Braxton Berrios. I missed one. So guys that have been around the league, guys that are veterans in this room, also rookies that have been showing up. This is where Pittsburgh is going to be tested, is in our secondary going up against these guys. If you had to ask me what's your biggest worry in this game, it's these wide receivers.
Yeah.
anything on these groups? I'm sorry, I was kind of just rushing right through.
No, you're good. This wide receiver core, though, it's a pretty deadly one.
Yeah.
Nico Collins is one of the best receivers in the league at this point in his career. I believe I'd call him probably a top 5, top 10 wide receiver. And the young core surrounding him, like you just mentioned, very talented, and some of these guys very big too. Nico Collins, a big 6'3", 6'4" guy. Same story with Jaden Higgins, and these are not small wide receivers, and they're very good at what they do. So it's going to be a good challenge for Pittsburgh. It would be a good game for James Pierre to really show what he's made of. Last week we saw a rotation between James Pierre and Asante Samuel Jr. You might want to lean on Pierre a little heavier this week with the size these guys have.
Absolutely. Moving on to the tight end room, Dalton Schultz is a tight end that needs no introduction. He's been successful throughout the league. Cade Stover is, I believe, a sophomore guy on this team. I was examining him and watching some of his tape during the draft in case Pittsburgh might have wanted to pick him up in some of the later rounds. So he's capable enough. But I wouldn't say he's anywhere near the level that Schultz is yet, but he's able to be productive as well. And the final tight end on this roster, who I was surprised is still in the league, is Harrison Bryant. So good for you, Harrison. Keep on being out there.
For Cleveland Brown, right? Wasn't he originally a Brown?
Yeah, he was with the Browns. I don't know if they drafted him, but he was with them for a number of years. And then moving on to this offensive line, who, as James mentioned, has some nagging injuries that they seem to have overcome, but could still play a factor. We've got Ariante Ursary as the left tackle. Titus Howard is listed as the starting left guard for this team, so he should be on that line as well. Jake Andrews as the center, Ed Ingram as the right guard, and then Trent Brown, the other tackle dealing with injury, as the right tackle. They do not have seemingly as much depth here as I would say we do on our roster. Jarrett Kingston backing up left tackle, Jarrett Patterson backing up the center. Juice Scruggs, guy from good old Erie, Pennsylvania, played at Cathedral Prep for a little while, then at Penn State, is their right guard. And then Blake Fisher, right tackle, is the final backup for that offensive line. So if we are able to kind of get some attrition in there, get some of those injuries bothering some of those guys again, you never want to hurt a guy so that he's out. But if you can get enough wear and tear on him that he's not playing efficiently, you don't have to take him out of the game. You can just monopolize or capitalize is the word I was looking for. Capitalize. You can capitalize on that. It pays to have a teacher on the podcast to help you when your brain's not working. But capitalize on that nagging injury that you might be able to then get some more effective pass rush or run stuffing against a guy who's not going 100%.
Yeah, and I want to say a lot of those injuries were lower body too, ankle and knee and hip and that kind of stuff, which affects your mobility. And our pass rushers are really quick dudes. So that might line up in Pittsburgh's favor. Like Nick mentioned there, that's the starting left tackle, left guard, and right tackle all on the injury list, all expected to play, but not at 100%. So that does put an advantage for Pittsburgh, as our pass rushers seem to be pretty dang healthy these days. If we skip over to the defensive side of things, appears as though the Houston Texans rely on their nickel defense as their base defense because they don't have a 4-3 or a 3-4 designation based off of who their starting lineup is. So the down 4 defensive linemen, as they call it, defensive tackles or interior guys, are your Tommy Togiai and Sheldon Rankins. Those are some real serious run stuffers in the middle there. The pass rushers might be the best pass rushing duo in the NFL right now, with Will Anderson Jr. on the one side. I believe he had 12 sacks this season. Not to be outdone, Donnell Hunter on the other side with 15 sacks this season. So that's some pretty serious pass rush juice out of those two guys. And then a former first-round pick, Derek Barnett, backing them up as well. So you even have some guys coming off the bench with some good pass rush ability. You're not going to have all day to throw the ball this game. That's just the way that works. When you have guys that are 2 double-digit pass rushers on the same starting defense, you can't really send a lot of help without having no receiving options, and you're just not going to have a ton of time. So very important to get the ball out quick in this upcoming week's game. Off-ball linebackers are kind of complete opposites of each other. They've got Azeez Al-Shaair and Henry To'oTo'o. Henry To'oTo'o, the thumper of the two. Al-Shaair, more of the pass coverage guy. So if you're going to target one of them in the pass, it needs to be Henry To'oTo'o. That's the guy that can be exposed in the passing situation. So you want to try to match up Kenny Gainwell, Pat Freiermuth against him anytime you possibly can. When you get that matchup, that's the one to take advantage of. No doubt about that. In the secondary, Derek Stingley Jr. and Kamari Lassiter thought of by many to be one of the better cornerback duos in the league. So we've got a common thing here. They're pass rushers and they're corners. Very, very skilled guys. Nickel corner, they're calling him, Jalen Petre, who normally was a safety previously. Kalen Bullock and Kayvon Wallace listed as the starting safeties on this team. But you definitely have a lot of talent going on here. In many people's opinion, this is the best defense in the entire NFL. So it's a real opportunity for Pittsburgh. Is it the matchup you wanted in the first round? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But you're making a dome team come outdoors to play in Pittsburgh in the very serious cold.
Yep.
So you've got the advantage there. You have a home crowd for the first time since 2018 in a playoff game. So that's a nice advantage that we haven't seen in a very, very long time. But you better be fully aware of what these guys are good at and try to find weaknesses and attack the weaknesses in this group. That nickel corner, Jalen Petre, the former safety, speed's the issue for him. This is another 4.7 40 kind of guy. So if you can match him up with Calvin Austin and get them in a race, Austin's going to pop open. Any of your faster wide receivers one-on-one with this guy is a speed mismatch. I would do a lot of misdirection, that kind of stuff with these guys, and you probably will be able to torch them. They give up a lot of deep plays. This defense is susceptible to the deep play. But there's a lot of talent here. No doubt about that.
And before we move on, we've got to talk special teams, special plays, special players, because as we know, special teams matter, especially long snappers. Just ask the Cincinnati Bengals. We have punter Tommy Townsend, who formerly was with the Chiefs, now in a stint with the Houston Texans here. Pretty reliable punter. Kayami Fairbairn, I believe is how you pronounce the first name. Relatively, I want to say decorated kicker. He's been able to go out and perform fairly well for them. He's got a decent leg. He's no Boswell, Boz for president, but he's still very, very, very capable kicker. Long snapper Austin Brinkman is a rookie, so maybe we can make some good special teams plays with Danny Smith there, seeing as he still might have that nagging knee injury. Tommy Townsend with being the holder. Jalen Knoll, Braxton Berrios, and Christian Cook sharing punt return duties with Tremon Smith, Jalen Knoll, and Braxton Berrios on kick return. Punt return was first, kick return was second. I think I said kick return for both. So just to clarify.
Speaking of special teams, is there a special place that you could watch Monday night's game?
You know, there just might be, and they just so happen to sponsor us. You should definitely go get the great atmosphere and great food at the Edinburgh Hotel Bar.
Absolutely. So Steelers by the Lake is sponsored in part by the Edinburgh Hotel Bar at 100 Meadville Street in downtown Edinburgh, with a full menu including daily lunch and dinner specials and a family-friendly, smoke-free environment. Details are available at 814-734-5103 or online at edinburghhotelbar.com. The Edinburgh Hotel Bar, where you had me at hotel. And one last special teams note before we go on to our own keys to success and score prediction. From last week's game, obviously it was pretty well known about Chris Boswell missing that extra point at the end of the game. Turns out it was actually blocked. And apparently some media sources had that right away. And even in game, it was seen that the one referee actually gave the symbol of a ball being tipped off of a finger, and the defender actually celebrated on the play, but the national broadcast missed it. So that's why it was thought of to be just a clean miss. But that gives Boswell a little more reprieve. One of his missed field goals this season was blocked, and his only missed extra point at this point in the season also was blocked.
Because he doesn't miss. Because
he don't miss.
He doesn't miss.
I've seen, and I need to acquire one for my office here, where they take the leg lamp from Home Alone, or not Home Alone, the Christmas story,
Yes.
and
Yes.
they make it Boswell's leg, and I'm like, I just need to, I need it.
I'd buy that. Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So next thing for us is going to be our keys to success for this week's playoff game. Who wants to kick it off? Who wants the first key to success this week?
I mean, I only really have one that I'm like set in, and so I think I'm just gonna get it off rip.
All right.
I want to hold Woody Marks to less than 50 rushing yards. If we can keep him contained, they should become one-dimensional. And am I afraid of their passing game? Yes. But if they're one-dimensional, we can then know what we're going up against, and then we can address it. And if we can keep that run game down, we can give that extra attention to getting after Stroud, getting him off his game, maybe getting some of those interceptions. So my first key to success is going to be holding Woody Marks, or whoever their top rusher is, but I have a feeling it's going to be Marks, to under 50 rushing yards.
Very good. Jill, you want to go next on yours?
Yeah. Nick, I think that has potential. I mean, with how Harmon and Hayward and Benton are playing, I feel like that's good potential. But mine is going to be containing their pass rush. So for us to win this game, Aaron Rodgers needs to get sacked one time or less. So no more than one sack on Aaron Rodgers, containing their pass rush, making sure he's getting the football out quick, and effectively and efficiently. So
I like what you're saying too, Jill, because we've got DK back, so that gives us a bit more of a passing attack to be able to keep Aaron Rodgers upright and able to have hopefully some more guys schemed open. So love it.
And I mean, this is that moment where it's like the vet experience is, again, what we're paying for. So he knows how to get the ball out to escape a sack. Just making sure it's not a dangerous play where it's just like, I'm just going to lob it and hope for the best. Like, he's intentional about what he does. So
awesome. So that gives me back-to-back options here. I kind of wanted to do a rushing one, but it would be too close to yours, Nick, so I don't want to copy that. What we're going to do here instead is the number one for me is going to be to keep the penalties to a minimum in this game. You can't be making lots of useless procedural penalties, lining up wrong and holding and technique stuff. These offensive pass interferences have to go away. We can't keep on losing big plays to offensive pass interference. So I'm going to say 5 penalties or less committed by the Steelers in this game. Keep it clean. Keep it out of the referee's hands.
Yeah.
You got a better shot if you're playing clean football of winning in this game. So 5 penalties or less by the Steelers. That's going to be key number 1 for me. Number 2 is going to be our own run game and establishing it. Because if you want to keep somebody else's pass rush off of you, the best way to do it is to not have to lean on your pass quite so heavy. So I think success in this game for me will look at like 140 plus yards rushing in this game. I think if you do that, this game finishes up and you look in the backfield and some gangly looking guy with a weird haircut sticks his head out and he says, "Success." And that's Chit because he's a Steelers fan too, I'm sure of it. So I want to see 140 plus yards rushing by the Steelers and 5 penalties or less by the Steelers. And I think both of those will be big keys for us. Jill, a second one for you.
Well, that was going to be, I was very similar with that, but I will go with the defensive side of the ball. I think we need at least 4 turnovers. I'm just leery of how well our offense will be able to create complete drives. And so I think if we are turning the ball over and getting into CJ's head, where he'll make more mistakes and that will lead to more turnovers, that will give our offense a little bit more confidence. Our defense will be confident, which I really do think our defense is going to come out and just have a day. I mean, we saw Cam play the hungriest football arguably last week. And so I think he's going to come out and be on like level 12, ready to go. But I would like to see, and I think we need to see at least 4 turnovers to really get in CJ's head, make him doubt every move that he'll make, whether that's a sack, that's an interception, it's a fumble, just one of each. You know what? Go for it. But I think getting in his head and making him doubt his player's ability will get us the win.
I like that. That's a good one. Nick, that puts all the pressure on you for our final key to success here, buddy.
All right, my final key is to bless the end zones again. No, I'm just kidding. Although I wouldn't hurt to have the Lord on our side again. I sent a TikTok to our group chat, and it was of one of the guys who normally follows the Lions, but he goes, God is a football fan, and unfortunately for the rest of us, he's a Steelers fan. When we saw that end zone and the missed kick by the Ravens to put us here. But no, mine is actually going to play into the end zone. I want us to end our drives in the end zone. As much as I love Boswell, as much as I love his kicking, I want touchdowns. I don't want us to be relying on field goals or whether or not they can be blocked or missed. Yeah. I want to end the ball in the end zone. I want at least 3 drives ending in a touchdown, at least. I know we can do more. I've seen this team do more, and I want us to do more. And I'm about to go on a deep dive into what I think for the score prediction here in a moment. But we'll let somebody else start off.
Well, I think the Texans, like, we have some of the best red zone offense, and the Texans, I think, have the worst like red zone offense. They cannot punch it in when it is in that red zone. So I like it.
Absolutely. So, Nick, it sounds like you want us to get our score predictions out of the way before you do yours?
Either way is fine by me, but I'm going to be a little long-winded. So if depends on what you guys want to do. I'll go whenever. I'm flexible.
Well, I'll let Joe go first, and then we'll let you go on your rant, and then I'll finish it up.
All right. Well, I have to, because I was right the past 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I was right the past 2 weeks. So I have to go with the Steelers, because then that means they'll win. So the Steelers are winning this game. It also bodes in our favor because we have not lost on Monday night at home since 1991. So I'm loving that stat for us.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm coming away with the Steeler win, but I think, unfortunately, as they always are, it's going to be a close one. I'm thinking like something crazy, like 24-20. Let's go there.
24-20. All right.
All right,
Nick,
everyone.
I can't wait for this, Nick.
I
held it off all podcast.
Join you, Nick.
The hat is going back on. All right, so I was sitting there the other day and I was like, let's look into this for this game. Let's get into the weeds. I was telling the crew before we started here, I wish I had either a chef's hat so we could do a let him cook moment, or a doctor's coat so I could be the mad scientist digging into the weeds here with my vision board of all these red lines connecting the dots and everything. But to start off our review, we're going to do an overview of basically who the Texans are and who we are. So the Texans, in this year, we're going to look at this year primarily. In their 12 wins and 5 losses, they have 4 wins against bottom 5 teams and 7 wins against teams that did not make the playoffs. So they're playing and winning against teams that are for most of the season. So we're starting off with that. Then we're going to look at who they've won against and what that looks like. So people often refer to the Steelers as one-score game merchants. The real one-score game merchants this year are the Tennessee Titans, the Houston Texans. So in their games this year, they had 12 one-score games. Of those one-score games, they won 7 and lost 5. When they were home, they won 4, lost 2, and away they were 3-3. So the Texans on away matchups are 3-3. So kind of middle of the road, not terrible. It evens out. But again, a lot of those games came against teams not super great. Tomlin, in his career, I did the math because the stat that I found was from before the Dublin game. So if you include the Dublin game as a home game, we'll go with that. But
Absolutely.
in one-score games, Tomlin is 103, 64, and 2. He is the most winning coach of all time in one-score games. We'll let that sink in for a moment. The teams that they lost to, by the way, in the away one-score games were the Los Angeles Rams, Seattle Seahawks, and Jacksonville Jaguars. So all teams that are doing relatively well. But when they've played a playoff team in an away one-score game, they lost. Pittsburgh has also been in a lot of one-score games this year. We've been in 10. So let me just get that up here. In one-score games this year for Pittsburgh, we are 7-3 overall in our one-score games. When away, we are 4-3. When we are home, 3-0, baby. We have not lost a home one-score game this year. So let that sink in.
Wow.
Now, one more thing before I go into what some of those games were. In primetime, the Texans are 2-2. They are 1-1 in away primetime games, so they won 1, lost 1. And they are 0-2 on Monday Night Football. We'll just throw that out there. And as we alluded to, Coach T's undefeated Monday night at home. This year, Steelers are also 2-2 in their primetime games, but they are 2-0 at home. And as I just mentioned, Tomlin is undefeated Monday Night Football. We have not lost in Monday Night Football since 1991. Looking at home, right. Looking at 2 of the more recent games that the Texans have played in their push into the playoffs, they beat the barely alive Colts, who were playing Riley Leonard at quarterback, who threw 21 out of 34 for 270 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown, and they only beat them 38-30. Their final touchdown came in garbage time when the Colts were lateraling the ball to try and keep their hopes of winning alive, and they fumbled it, and the Texans defense ran in for a touchdown. So the game actually should have been 32-30. And that game, Alec Pierce caught 4 catches for 132 yards and then got ejected in the last 2 minutes of the third quarter because he allegedly made contact with a ref. So the guy, balloons. But their primary receiver in that game, who was gelling very well with their quarterback, gets taken out towards the end of the third quarter, and they still only lost by 2 points. They also beat the Las Vegas Raiders by 2, the worst team in the NFL, who is picking number 1 overall, by 2 points. Geno Smith threw 16 of 23 for 201 yards, and then Gentry ran for 128 on them. So this is a very beatable team who is a one-score game merchant, and we are the better team in one-score games. So I'm also sticking with my trend, Jill, of being the positive one. And it's worked the last 2 weeks for us, so we're going to keep it going again. Yep. I also think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be a one-score game. I'm going same score as the Raiders game with 23-21 Pittsburgh. I think it's going to be tight, but hopefully I'm proved wrong and we just blow them out of the water.
Amen.
That's awesome, Nick. I appreciate all that research. That's pretty tremendous right there.
Thank you. That was great.
I was trying to put on my little Steelers Depot hat for that one.
That's good.
So that brings it to me. And as you know, this is a very, very superstitious show. I've got a streak of like 6 games in a row now, I believe, that I've picked correctly, which means I've picked incorrectly, I should say.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Which I need to keep the streak going, obviously. Breaking it now would be just a very, very ridiculous move, counterproductive. You'd have to strip my fan card from me for me to go against that streak right now.
Absolutely.
Which means even though my heart says Pittsburgh Steelers, I absolutely have a moral obligation to choose the Houston Texans in this game. So I'm going to take a 23-20 victory. We're all very close in our scores today. I'm going to call it for the Houston Texans, but I do believe Pittsburgh has a very good chance of winning this game. Got to start out quick, right? No more of this let the other team score 2 or 3 times before we get on the board. That's going to be a big key for this game. Hopefully Pittsburgh can get that first score in this game for once. That'll put a lot of people's minds at ease if we do so. So I'm going Texans, but I'm doing it just so that the Steelers win.
And we got to do what we got. I'm wearing the same outfit I wore on Sunday, on Monday. Drinking the same. I mean, like, we're going deep with the superstitions here.
Ooh, we have no choice. We have no choice. Would we be fans otherwise?
No. Absolutely not. I love when Pittsburgh dad does his, like, I went to the same line at Giant Eagle. I got gas from the same pump. I did everything right.
I go down to the colors of my energy drinks. This is a peach flavored one. Why? Because there's no orange in the Texans logo.
I will not wear any red, blue.
Yeah, red and blue not happening
not
this
at
week.
all. Not
maybe
all.
next week, but not this week.
Definitely not.
Before people think we're complete crackheads, Nick, do you want to get us out of here?
Well, we can't thank you enough for listening to us here at Superstitions by the Lake. If you would, please give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and Spotify. Subscribe, ring the bell. It doesn't cost you a thing. Don't forget the 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. Make all of us, but especially James Strong, very happy. And until next time, these are your hosts, James, Jill, and Nick, signing off.
Peace.